I think the biggest difference in nice neighborhoods compared to neighborhoods in the hood in terms of the teacher quality and things like that isn't the actual teachers, it's the parent involvement. And what you have is in nicer neighborhoods, parents have more free time, they're more involved. Compared to lower income places, parents aren't involved as much, and you see a difference in the school because of that, because they're not being held accountable.
What's going on, fam? This is Anthony from the Not Offended podcast, the conservative Chicano right here. If y'all could do me a favor, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you could leave a comment, hit the like button, but most of all, if you could hit subscribe, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Levels. We good. Mic check. We just gonna roll right into it. Welcome to the Not Offended podcast. It's your boy Anthony. I got the bishop and the token. We gotta talk business. We're gonna go straight after it because after last week and having to admit I was wrong on some things, it seems as if I've been vindicated on some things. I'm sitting across from the two people who picked the Chiefs to win yesterday. How you guys feeling today?
About as good as I felt yesterday.
How you feeling today?
I was hoping to win. I don't care. You guys made me pick a team. I don't care.
But how you feeling? Because I just want you to know that not only did I pick the winner, I was feeling kind of led on a Sunday morning to actually throw out a score, a very specific score, to which I feel pretty good about myself. Now I know you two probably don't care, but I feel pretty good about myself, and I think somebody even said, man, you should have bet that. But I'm not saying who said that, but I'm saying I probably should have. But I just want you to watch this right here and see. Look, I have the timestamp. That's me. I guess early morning thoughts. But I want you to watch this story that I made Sunday morning. Watch this right here.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Super Sunday. All right, I know there's a Super Bowl going on, but listen, man. Jesus is the MVP. Come on, somebody. Want to encourage y'all to get to church. Nothing like getting to church, breaking bread with the family of God, getting a good message, and then heading to that Super Bowl party. So make sure you make plans to be at church, keep with Jesus. And when you go to Super Bowl parties, keep that Jesus too. Y'all be getting carried away. No smashing TVs, no beating up your primo, okay? Don't do nothing like that. Just enjoy a good game. All right. Whew, Super Bowl prediction. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb right here. Eagles 40, Chiefs 20. What? And now I'm just being crazy. But what if it happens? We'll see. Hey, y'all have a blessed Sunday. See you.
Okay. First outside. What do you think? What do you think about that?
You did pretty good. I know that somebody had mentioned they were hoping that you weren't going to wear their team's jersey because every time you wear the team's jersey, the team loses. But as far as picking the score, you did good yesterday.
Okay, you know that's true though, right? Like I think it was like 5 years in a row. Whatever jersey I wore, the other team won.
Yeah, so I know all the Eagles fans were happy you didn't wear a Cooper DeJean jersey yesterday.
Okay, what'd you think about that? That's pretty good though, wasn't it? I mean, come on, you gotta give me some props.
Yeah, you just throw some numbers out there. It was your second one, so you had two.
Okay. Do you know on the podcast what I said was gonna happen?
I have no idea.
Okay, do you know on the podcast what I said was going to happen? Okay.
Oh, I know you said that Philly was going to win.
I did, and it was going to be 34-24. That was my podcast score. Not bad. Still, again, not bad. I thought that's still in the realm. I also said that they had to jump on him early. So I said Nick Fangio, Fangio was, boy, did they jump on him, right? Fangio was the defense coordinator for the Eagles. I said that Spagnuolo's teams do not give up more than 14 to 17 points. I said they had to get a jump. They scored 24 in the first half and 16 in the second. So that's that. I'm telling you that all that I felt pretty good about myself. Not that I'm gonna go play some bets in Vegas because I don't do that, but I'm just saying I felt pretty good. All right. So okay. Speaking of that, a little fun fact. I need your guys' help. I know we talk about culture's influence on the church. We're going to get there, but, Super Bowl's a big deal. A lot of churches did a lot of things for the Super Bowl, and people are hating on them for doing it. I'm not hating on anybody. Like, however creative you wanted to get is good with me. Plus, there was a lot of faith represented last night. One of the things that I thought was interesting for a fun fact, and here's a fun fact. I had to look up when was the last time a white cornerback, a defensive back, had a pick six in the NFL. Now, just to set the table, there hasn't been that many white DBs in the NFL. And as a current roster right now, I think there's only 3 or 4, not safeties, not free safeties, but defensive backs. And I can only think of 2, but I think there's 4, but I can only think of 2. Okay, anyway, 1 for the Broncos. And, of course, put some respect on his name. His name is Cooper DeJean right there, okay, or DeJean. But I will say this, after, like, ChatGPT or Google and everybody else I can find that would try to answer, I didn't find anybody. This is, to my knowledge, you correct me if I'm wrong, the first time it has ever happened that a white defensive back had a pick 6 in the NFL. Does that surprise you, or do you think that's probably
Super
true?
Bowl.
Super Bowl, sorry, in a Super Bowl, correct. Does that surprise you, or do you think that's probably accurate?
I don't know. I don't know.
He's like he's the unicorn.
He's the unicorn. He's mythical.
You guys nervous now, Deshaun, or what? We're taking over.
Taking over. It's the takeover on. Hey, I'm telling you, the meme games last night were strong. The best meme that I saw. I always try to share love, but the meme was good. It said Travis Swift can go write a song now. That's cool. Travis Swift. That's funny. You know that's funny. You didn't laugh.
He
But that's
still
funny.
won 3 Super Bowls.
It's just funny though.
I know. He will be tripping.
It's just
like,
funny. It's just a joke.
This is
It was
3
funny.
Super Bowls and going home with a billionaire. His girl is way richer than he is. I think he's doing all right.
There's always got to be one who just
Social media is always so crazy.
If I had the Charlie Brown sound right now, I'd play it. I just thought it was a funny meme. That's all.
Does this hurt Mahomes' his what is his
No,
his
because
story?
he's so young. It just depends on what he does forward from here. No. Do I think he'll get another 3-peat opportunity? Absolutely not.
No. Yeah, 3-peat now.
That's just too difficult. So I don't think it hurts his legacy. You think it hurts his legacy?
No.
I don't think so either. I mean, think about it.
I think everybody felt sorry for him last night.
Bro, he
everyone
got
felt-
thrown around like a rag doll,
got
bro.
beat
That was
up.
bad.
How about the one where he got hit in the face? You saw that one?
Well, they said they came back from break and they said why that wasn't called, and even if it was called, the ball had already been dislodged, so it still would have been a turnover. It had just been 15-yard penalty going back. That's all. So, but it's I think it was J.J. Watt or somebody said, okay, I guess nobody's complaining about the refs now, and I'm
But
like,
at first
play, even Mike Pereira comes on and goes, that wasn't a penalty against A.J. Brown. So anyway, I thought it was cool. Okay, so first off, I want to say thank you. I know we just jumped right into it, a little excited. For those of you who know, I love football, but thank you so much to everybody who watched the podcast. It was a record podcast last week. Talking about, of course, illegal immigration, everything that's going on. We're going to dive into that here in just a second. But thank you so much for chiming in on the comments. And, of course, for sharing it, for liking it, for watching it. We appreciate you guys. And then all the followers that we got to subscribe to the page. Shout out to you guys. We really appreciate it. Now, on to that. One of the comments that I thought was really interesting, they said, thank you so much for talking about this and not being afraid to talk about it. Shout out to my man in San Bernardino who left that comment. He subscribed to the page too. My question to you guys is, why do you feel like pastors or people of faith are so nervous to talk about this? What do you think? And it doesn't have to be a pastor; it could be another believer. What is the apprehension there? Because he was really grateful that we took the time, and I had several people stop me and say, "Thank you for talking about it. We appreciate you guys' viewpoints on this." What do you think, Token? Why do you think people are so nervous about talking about it?
I don't think people want to be labeled, labeled bigoted or hateful, and so you ride the fence and you don't make a stance, or you don't interject your opinion because you're afraid of what people are going to say about you.
But Bishop, how do we talk about the hard things if we don't talk about the hard things?
Well, I think a lot of times people don't know what's even true. So what do you actually
Go ahead.
believe? Like, what do you actually believe? What's actually happening? You just don't know. So it's hard to talk about something you don't know. Some people can, like my son. I can tell him all the time, stop arguing about everything unless you know you're right, because he'll argue even though he's wrong. I'm like, you're wrong. Like, what are you talking about? Like, shut up. but some people just don't care. They'll argue just to argue. But some people I want to know what I'm talking about.
Have we lost though? Have we lost our ability to talk civilly one to another and to civilly agree to disagree? Have we lost that? Is that gone now, or can we bring it back?
I don't know if it was ever there.
You don't know if it was ever there?
No, I think it was there to an extent. I think we were better off. I think we used to be better off than we are now. I think it feels like maybe we're getting a little bit better.
Okay.
There isn't as much extreme, and I think that maybe that's one of the reasons why the media is really trying to push this right now, is to continue to create such divisiveness within ourselves, so that these conversations don't happen, so that we hate one another, so that they can continue to push more stuff online. I don't know.
People will talk civilly in person. People will talk online. They talk like idiots. Everyone's this hero online, and they want to talk big. But people will talk, in person if they know what they're talking about. Otherwise, people will just sort of about a conversation.
So you're saying you think because of social media platforms, it's actually instigated,
Yeah,
and it's kind of worked people up.
yeah. You just go find your echo chamber, repeat what they said, and go with it.
Now, as believers, because we talk about culture and its influence on the church, shouldn't we live different? Shouldn't we be different? Shouldn't we be welcoming conversations, people of different opinions, to at least sit down? I mean, even the Word of God tells us, "Come now, let us reason together. Sit down, let us reason together. Let us talk."
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, as believers, we all have a common ground we can start from.
So why aren't we doing more of that then?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can if you want to.
I mean, this is the whole reason we started the podcast, is so we could have these types of conversations. And here's the thing that I don't know where this bad habit came in, but I noticed it's found its way in from the pulpits to the pews. We feel like we have to 100% see eye to eye on things, or else we can't walk hand in hand. When did that happen, and why did that change, or what changed to make that happen, or how did we end up here, which I totally disagree with. That's what's made the church so powerful, is we found unity, and I'm going to say a trigger word, but I don't mean it to be triggered. I mean it to be factual. We found unity in our diversity. In other words, our diversity of thought, our diversity of culture, our diversity of the way we may approach things. But that's where the church has been the strongest, is to be able to go, hey, all right, so you don't believe in speaking in tongues? No problem, but I still believe in you. I still like you. Let's go get a burger. And now it's kind of crept in like, oh, you don't believe this way? Then fine, we can't even be friends. Well, I don't see that. I don't know. Where did we go wrong? What do you think? Where did we go wrong? Bishop, come on, help us out here.
I don't know. I feel like there's always like people fighting about stuff. I feel like people are always bringing divisions. You always see church splits over something. Like people are always arguing and fighting with each other about something. They can't come to agreement and really
Are
coexist.
we just too sensitive, or are we too passionate? What?
Well, people get stuck in like, this is what it is, and period. And there's no wiggle room. Like, this is what I choose, and who's on my side? You're on my side, all right. We fight the other side.
So we just start doing sides again.
Yep. Go start a new church. I don't agree with that. Okay, who wants to come with me? Let's go start a new church.
Yeah, I just think that those camps just really grew within the last few years. I think maybe before there was like some people on each side, but there was a lot more people in the middle. And I think the middle has really gotten kind of split more, where there's less talk.
Sure.
There's more non-negotiables.
I bring this up because I had an opportunity to practice what I just preached to you guys, and I want y'all to lean in on this. I had a couple of friends stop me the other day, and they said, "Hey, Pastor, we listened to the podcast. Appreciate this. It was real cordial. It was real nice." And they said, "However, there is certain phrasing that does make some people upset." And I said, "Oh, please tell me." I wasn't upset. I love these individuals. I've got nothing but love for them, so I can receive anything, right? Like, I know it's not vitriol. It's not, trying to castigate me or anything. And so they had mentioned on our podcast last week when we say, "Hey, it's just important people do it the right way." And one of my friends went on to share their story of their family's immigration plight here, and how doing it the right way didn't really get done in a certain time frame. It took years, I think over 10 years, and a lot of money to do it the right way. And I could understood. It's crazy because I leaned in and I was like, I can understand why that does rub you the wrong way when somebody says do it the right way. Because I can admit this. Now, here's where I think you got to volley back and forth, right? You got to be able to admit our immigration system is broken, but it's been broken long before this administration. It's been broken long before you were alive, and I were alive. This whole thing has been a mess. The question that I ask myself is, why is it still a mess? We can fight wars on 3 different continents and 7 different decades, and we can put a man on the moon, and we can find money for everything else. And you see where I'm going with this? But you can't fix an immigration policy. And here's what I submit to you guys, because they love the chaos that it brings. They love how it brings the red side and the blue side and this side and that side. They love the chaos. They love the disruption. They love to be able to run on that platform like they're going to be able to fix it. Obama didn't fix it. Bush didn't fix it. Clinton didn't fix it. Trump didn't fix it. I could go on and on. Biden didn't fix it. So what that tells me, if people really want to fix it, it's got to start at the local level and work its way all the way up. And we got to really be mindful and cognizant of who we vote in. But I understood. I leaned in and I go, I could get that. And my heart goes out to you and your family. And this is what I said. It should not have been that difficult. It just shouldn't have been. There's no other way around that. And I was like, that's the broken system. And so my question to you guys is, why is it so hard for people just to lean in and hear somebody out and be able to find the common ground to say, hey, I can see how that rubs you the wrong way. The two truths are still right. Two things can be, right at the same time. Saying that people need to do it the right way, that's still a truthful statement. But understanding that even in doing the right way, it's a flawed system, that is a truthful statement. And I don't know why people just like two rams hitting their heads like, no, you still got to do it the right way. You just didn't listen then. They tried to do it the right way, but it's a broken system. Am I making any sense to you guys?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it takes two parties to be able to be mature enough to have that conversation. If one side is not going to hear the other person out and is just going to finger point, it doesn't matter which side it is, that you're not going to have that conversation.
Good point.
Because they came to you with open ears as well.
Absolutely.
Knowing that they could have the volley going back and forth.
Absolutely.
But if they came, just interjecting what they believe and not allowing you to retort, right, then those conversations aren't going to happen. And so you have to have both parties who are willing to say, you know what, part of me, I can see where you're coming from, and vice versa.
And I think that happened, Bishop. I think that happens. This is my opinion, is because there's a mutual respect amongst each other. And there's also a mutual admiration. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know you care for me. You know I care for you. Therefore, let's just lay that out there right there. I think if people approached it a little bit more like, hey, this is my friend and not my enemy, I think they'd listen a little bit better. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think most people are selfish for the most part when they think of things. So, like, how does this affect me? So, obviously, that person affects their family.
Right.
If it doesn't affect your family, you're like, send them all back.
Right.
And so that's sort of just people's mindset.
You're right. Most of the people who are saying that, correct. It doesn't affect them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just do it the right way.
And they almost say it a little heartless.
Yeah. Just do it the right way. And then you're like, well, man.
Took time, took money. Well, still, who cares? You got to do it the right way.
Yeah. It's always just send it back. Right.
There's things in my life that have taken time and taken money.
Yeah, they start going back to that. And when I was 7, it was like, bro, you don't even understand. Oh, yeah, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's sort of your feeling. And so it really takes people to actually have compassion for people. You actually have to care about people, like you're saying. And willing to hear people's stories and hear them out and realize, okay, what is the system really working? Is what I'm saying actually true? And like you're saying, it could both be true, but like, okay, but no, there has to be a better way. I mean, they should know, like, even if it takes a long time, they should know, oh, it takes 5 years. They should know. They should be walking in the dark.
Do you think most people even know how long I don't think most people even know how hard it is.
Yeah, how much money does it cost? How long does it take? That should be known. They shouldn't be guessing. They shouldn't have to make it up, or if I'm rich, or if I have the skill, like, what does it actually take to become a U.S. citizen?
Yeah, it seems like it's just constant moving goalposts.
It has been. And see, that's the part that frustrates me, right? It is the constant moving of the goalpost. And I promise you, every administration comes in and says they're going to fix it. It is one of those ones, right? It's the mythical, we're going to fix it. And they don't. And I think that's what frustrates people. And then once again, I think I'm hoping, I'm probably wrong, but I'm hoping, can a brother hope? If you got 100 practical believers, like people who love Jesus, I'm guaranteeing, I feel confident like 3/4, if not more, are going to be compassionate for people who are really trying to get the immigration status, and they're trying to go about it in the ways that the laws of the land currently adhere. I really do. And I think people would have compassion, like, yeah, let's help this person out. They're a good family. They're just trying. And I still think if you got 100 people, even in that group, who are trying to get immigration status, if they saw 100 criminals, I guarantee the majority of those people would say the same thing. Send those ones back, though, because they're making us look bad and they're doing things that are harmful to society. So I think really what it is there's this controlled chaos from the media to the platforms to certain individuals, and they're just riling us up so that we're against one another. And that's where, as the church, we've got to come in and we've got to push back. We've got to say, nope, filter through the eyes of the gospel, and this is where our stance needs to be. And I just think the church has got to speak up. But I just don't understand why pastors are afraid to talk about it. Because I feel like you can do it in a healthy biblical way. And I understand this part, though. You're still going to get some people who are upset on both sides. But that's okay, because that's how you know you're really preaching the gospel, is that people are just kind of getting, ruffled on both sides. That I don't know. Am I just too much of a straightforward person that I'm not being compassionate towards my fellow pastors? Or I probably am, huh?
Yeah, someone's going to get mad. It's
But
just what it is.
always,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because, one part, people also have to realize, too, that even letting in immigrants does have a toll on our system. So you can say, just let them all in, have compassion, but it's like, who's going to pay for it? When you have a bunch of kids who come in who only speak Spanish, who's going to teach the kids?
Or who only speak Chinese or whatever.
Yeah.
The language,
And so you have a whole new class you have to set up. Well,
It's
that takes
true.
less resources from my kid. I pay taxes. So I want my kid to have more support. So you have to be honest about it. And that, do we really want to be compassionate and help people? We do. But we got to be honest.
Yeah. It's funny is I think you were there for most of that conversation I was having. I did say this, and this is the only thing that perplexes me. This is an Anthony thing, okay? So I don't expect anybody else to feel this way. I don't understand, with Canada being our neighbors to the north and Mexico being our neighbors to the south, why we don't have a great neighbor policy with each other. Why there's not a big open door, properly vet people. I'm all about properly. I don't let anybody in my house stop properly vetting, so we do need to properly vet. I don't think anybody would argue that, by the way. But I don't know why we don't. I don't know why we've made this so hard for years. You know what I mean? Like, what was the goal in accomplishing that? And that's why I deduce it down to the goal was to create chaos amongst people so we can keep people pitted against each other, because a united people get things done, period. So, but that's how I ended that conversation. Like, we should have great, we should have great fellowship between North and South. Does that make sense with our neighbors? So brings me, let's just segue right into it. Talked about in the message yesterday, I was talking about fellowship, talking about the 4 foundations that the early church established. There were more, but in the early verses of Acts chapter 2, 42 through 47, it talked about the apostles' doctrine, which we'll talk about this weekend coming up at our church. We'll be talking about a doctrine in the Bible and how you can trust the Bible, how it's weathered all the storms. And then it talked about the fellowship, that coming together, talked about the breaking of bread, which means to share meals, but also participate in community together, and then of prayer. Yesterday, I talked about fellowship, and I used the analogy of the almond trees in the field at the land we own, and how when the almond tree is healthy, during the spring shoots, when it starts to grow, it'll grow anywhere from 2 to 4 feet. And everybody seemed to catch on to that, like, wow, that's pretty impressive. When you're in a healthy environment, you grow. And then I said, what's interesting is you would think the opposite would be true. In the unhealthy environment, then you wouldn't grow. Oh, you grow, you just grow the wrong way, right? But I brought into this that was interesting is the tree does grow down. It shoots down. It doesn't always necessarily shoot up. And what I talked about was in times of trials and hardship and tribulation, the tree actually shoots down and hopes to send its roots down to more water if it's in a drought season, better soil if it's not being properly, if it doesn't have the proper nutrients, or in the times of severe weather calamities, it will shoot its roots out in search of other trees to come and connect itself with. And so I told everybody, just the moment you feel like running away from the people of God in the church is the time that you need to find a healthy group inside the church that you can shoot down and join up to, because in a healthy season, everybody loves shooting up. And so I talked about that yesterday. That was a little recap for the audience. What did you guys think of that analogy, or how did you hear it, or what did you think of it when you heard it? Well, go ahead, Mike. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation, some friends and I, probably about 2 weeks ago, and we were just talking about how long we've been doing ministry together.
Uh-huh.
They were like, man, it's been like almost 15 years, or right about that. And it's
You
like,
were
man,
telling them?
we were, it's us, right? So we were all talking. Yeah. I mean, I had mentioned it, but we were all talking about it. And just how, like, it hasn't been like great every day, and
some hard years right there.
And so there was definitely some seasons of shooting down.
Yeah.
But just so thankful for those hard seasons, and looking back on it now, like it really has produced in me a better me because of them. And I haven't always done right, been right, and they may, and vice versa. And so anyway, now that I'm getting a little bit older and like seeing ministry from a different perspective, having been doing it for a while, you get to see that developed in other people as well. And I had an incident that happened about 2 months ago, and is able to watch a couple really shoot down.
Okay.
And I was so impressed.
They were just going through it?
They're just going through it, but really looking for roots.
Wow.
Like really other roots. Like really looking to like not be okay with leaving. Mm-hmm. Not being okay with just washing my hands. I'm just going to go to the next church. And they had a lot of right too. They could have. And I think a lot of people would say, yeah, I can see that. I can see your perspective. Uh-huh. But they say, you know what? I'm really going to, this is my church. This is my family. I recognize that there's some brokenness in here. And so being able to watch other people do that it was super encouraging for me.
What about you? I mean, we've been doing life a long time. We've seen people come and go. Why do you think people choose the easy part of just leaving instead of working it out? What's your opinion? What do you think happens?
Man, it can be hard. I mean, it's either just to sort of escape everything, get away, try to start something new. But like you said in your sermon, it's like, well, you take everywhere you go, there you are. Yep. Yeah, you take yourself with you, but it's worth it if you were able to stay there, work things out, and get better and get stronger and lean into other people. But it's a harder path.
But do you think some people are just normal runners? They're just natural runners. They just run. They just avoid things. They just keep moving along. You think some people are that way?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't think you're that way. Are you that way? Just avoid a conflict, run away from a situation?
No, I don't want to meet new people, so let's figure it out. I was messing. I like to meet new people. But
what makes you... Do you think growing up in a large family had anything to do with you just sticking it out and just working through problems? Like, give us what you think might be an unspoken truth or an unspoken secret that you just have learned to just resolve things and like, hey, these things just got to be worked out.
I don't know. No one's perfect. And
So, I know your siblings. You guys aren't all the same.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? Like what do you feel like was a thing in the recipe, if we could say it that way, an ingredient in the recipe that you guys, because you're all very close, like you guys have just worked it out?
I don't know. I mean, we truly love each other. We're not looking to get anything from each other, take from each other, but really we care about each other. We want to be there for each other. We support each other in every way we can. I know, like, from my mom and dad, they're always there for us and for each other. And so, that's I feel like I found a community in church also. But walking out your faith is going to be hard, and you have to realize, like, you might offend each other, but just coming back, you have this common ground of faith that you're sticking to. Gotcha. And if everyone's willing to do that, like,
that's right there. It's right there.
It all works out. And this is why, this is why I think Andrew Tate is such a coward, because when things got hard, he ran away from his faith. Like, it's such a cowardice thing to do.
That I noticed that really. Why did that get your goat so much?
Because I think one of the challenging things that a man can do is walk out his faith. I don't think it's anything harder to do. It's easier to go chase everything else, but to really say no to yourself and yes to Christ is the most challenging thing you can do. And they look up to him as he's like, this man's man. It's like, no, he cowered out. He went the weak route. Like, push more into your faith. Like you're saying, go deeper. Find other people in your life who can challenge you. Like, that is the harder route. And so many people don't want to do it. And I do. Like Mike said, when I see people do it, I'm so encouraged by it. I'm so encouraged when people want to live up their faith and want to love their kids and love their wife and work things out. Like, it's so powerful to do that. And it's like, I love it. And it's heartbreaking when you see people don't do it too. On the opposite side, when you see someone like, man, they're abandoning their faith. Like, we did all this together. We did all this ministry together, and now they're just out. Like, it could be heartbreaking.
It's funny. Somebody just said that. Somebody had just, either they posted or they said it, like, the hardest thing you could do is walk out your Christian faith. Everything else is easy. It's easy to go to the club on the weekend. It's easy to go find another person to hook up with. It's easy to, and they just listed all these things that it's easy to do. But you want to know what's hard? Walking out what you believe is the hardest thing you will ever have to do, because not only are you swimming up currents, you're going against your own flesh, you're going against the temptation of the enemy, and you're going against the grain of what everybody else is doing. This is absolutely the hardest thing. So now I begin to understand you more, because what you're saying is you have a certain level of not only respect, but admiration for people. When the going gets tough, they didn't waver.
I was talking to someone today, and they're talking about living out their faith, how everyone they completely changed their life, and everyone's like looking like, what are you doing? He has to go against everyone who loved him when he was partying, drinking, spending all the money. Now he's changed his life. Now everyone's against him. And now he has to go deeper in the church because that's the only where he's going to get that relationship from the church and being in community, and where everyone else has abandoned him. It's not easy for him to do that. But he's like, no, this is truth. I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah. Well, let's finish it up with you. Cook. Why do you feel, this is your own opinion, of course, that people, instead of grinding it out in community and getting grimy, because that's what it is, like really working through the hard stuff, to have that connectedness, to really say, listen, no, we're going to do this life together. Why do you think people just take the option of get up and just dip out?
I think culturally, like across the board, almost every area of our lives, we have allowed people to leave.
Oh,
We've given people passes to leave. Think about it. Your kid doesn't like the teacher. Parents are going in, superhero mom. Hey, it's the teacher's fault, switching classes. You don't like your job? Hey, just quit. Just go to a different job. Hey, you don't like your major? Change your major. What is it, like 85% of people change their majors when they get to college? Now, that might be a bad example, but everything you're allowed to leave. Look at our divorce rate. Everybody's allowed to leave.
It's bad.
Whether it's in the church, outside of the church.
They're about the same, yeah.
And so I think that across the board, we are a culture that just quits. And whether it's interpersonally, whether that's in our workout habits, whatever it may be, everybody is okay. That's a blanket statement. We have been taught that it's okay to quit. And so when things get rough, you just move on because everybody else does it and it's okay. You're going to go to the next church and the next church is going to say, well, I'm glad you're here. And they're not even going to ask how you got here.
Wow. Right.
So we have developed a mentality that quitting is okay.
You guys are both spot on. I think we could just quit right there and just go work on ourselves. That was good. We have created and curated even a culture of the next place, right? We'll just go to the next place. We've lost that dog in us. It's what that other generation had, that World War II generation of like, we lived through the Great Depression. There's no quit in us. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep moving forward. Okay, there's nothing to plant in this state. We'll go to the next state. But this is all we got. All we got is each other. So this is it. We're stuck with each other. I just think that's so powerful. We have curated a culture of that. And really, there are certain things that you just need to work through. I said it yesterday. God's going to poke at you a little bit. He's going to poke at you a little bit because he's trying to build that grind and that griminess in you that, hey, you got to work through this. You got to sit down and resolve this. And what a great example of going through the book of Job. I told somebody this morning, I said, Job should be everybody's hero. How he's not listed first in the Hall of Fame of Faith. Abraham, you did great. But my boy is Job right now. Like Job done been through some things. You can learn. And the good news is just when you start to lose faith, flip on over to the last chapter. You're going to feel like double for the trouble. You can make it after all. But I'm telling you, I love that, man. I love that. That was great. I appreciate that, guys. I really do. So let's talk about what's going on right now. We're going to talk about another hard subject because it's going to affect all of us, from the church to the schools to everybody, because this is a subject that everybody's talking about right now. It's about DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, and they're calling it the DOGE Chaos because, as you know, they went after the Treasury, they went after federal employees. They said, hey, if you don't come back to work, you can take a check. They just found $59 million. It was breaking this morning on X. $59 million went to house illegal immigrants. I believe they said in the Northeast. I think it was Jersey or New York, somewhere over there. But $59 million in FEMA money when our own people in North Carolina weren't getting what they needed. And so there's this big uproar. And what was going on this weekend that got, as if that wouldn't get you going, the $1 billion they already found in wasteful spending. What really got everybody's attention was President Trump said he was going to let Elon go after everybody's favorite Department of Education and how they felt like this has been a big waste of money. And it's been a misappropriation of funds. And you guys can see the stats. I don't need to bore everybody, but since its inception, schools haven't gotten better. That's not a misnomer. That's just a fact. So everybody's mad. They're concerned. Trump is going to cut everything off, blah, blah, blah. And the question becomes, who's Elon? Why does he get to do this? That's a fair question. I understand that. And my answer to that is, well, you never allowed any other audits. There hasn't been audits. From the Pentagon to the IRS, there haven't been these audits. And if they haven't been, it's been bad audits and we've never fixed it. So there's been this wastefulness. But when it comes to the Department of Education, of course, because there's no stronger unions than teachers' unions. And they realize that some people call it a gravy train. Some people go federal dollars. Any way you want to spend it, I don't care. They realize that this is going to have some consequences. I'm going to play a clip. We're going to have to bleep out some of it. But Bill Maher attacked this subject this weekend with, I think it's Brian Donaldson. He's the representative out of Florida who was real close to Trump. They had a great conversation, and I just want to talk a little bit about it because it's gonna find its way into the church. Because as you know, I love my teachers at our church. I love all of our teachers. We got lots of teachers who go to our church, but we're gonna talk about the hard stuff, okay? But I want you to watch this clip.
The public is aware of the mismanagement, the improper payments.
What about the Department of Education? Now, I don't know that much about it, but I've never read good things. Yeah. Rahm Emanuel, who I agree with on almost everything, here was a quote. He said, 1/3 of 8th graders can't read, and now he wants to close the department? And I thought, that's probably why they can't read. Or at least partly. I mean, the numbers keep getting worse and worse and worse. And I don't know if the Department of Education is anything it doesn't really, I don't know what it does, except take money. It's sort of a middleman. It doesn't run classrooms or do stuff like that. I don't think it makes policy. So where are you on something like that?
I think that the Department of Education has to essentially be closed. A lot of the authorities got to get sent back to the states. The dollars we appropriate actually need to go directly into the hands of parents so that they can use those resources in their states and in their communities to find the best outcome for their children. When the Department of Ed was created in 1977, our reading scores and math scores for kids 4th and 8th grade were higher than they are today. No. So it's not worked.
I mean, I read this, I'm stealing this from Nellie Bowles' column, but in the Michigan, the contract from the teachers union says, you cannot be fired for getting caught drunk as a teacher until you do it for a 5th time.
What?
Yeah, the first 4 times, you're good.
They didn't take the Pete Hegseth vow.
Counseling.
I will stop drinking when I start the job.
And also, if you're caught selling drugs twice, that's when we fire you. The first time, you're good.
That's insane.
I mean, it is insane.
Yeah, it is.
So it's not like there isn't insanity that has to be addressed. And it's not like the kids are getting smarter.
Okay, so which part were you laughing at? If you get caught drinking 5 times, that's when you get fired, not the 4 before. What are your first thoughts when you hear that? By the way, I fact check all that. He wasn't lying since 77. They're not lying. That's not every school district. That was that specific school district. So all of that really was factual. So what's your thoughts on that now? Do you even know what the Department of Education does?
No, I have no idea.
He's right. They don't create policy. That is once again, that's why I chose this clip out of all the clips that are out there. I chose this one because it is very factual. What'd you think of that clip?
I'm all in favor of making things better. And I think that too many big agencies have been okay with status quo. Because, and I had a conversation with somebody about this yesterday who is a federal employee, and he's having to deal with some of these changes, and he is somebody who I would hire yesterday. Mm-hmm. A phenomenal employee. He works really hard, great at his job, and he's getting swept up in all of this, right? Because of other people who haven't been phenomenal employees and who don't do their job well. And we're seeing that with immigration, just a big hand of the big swooping hand. We're seeing that with all these other areas, and I think the Department of Education is going to get caught up in it, and I hope that it works to make it better.
What did you think, Bishop, of what Donaldson, Representative Donaldson said, that we should put this federal money back into the hands of parents for them to choose the school of their choice? What did you think about that?
It sounded like a good idea in theory. I mean, I don't know what the other side of it may be, the arguments against it. I'm sure there's some legitimate ones, but
I think some of the bigger arguments, and I could totally be wrong about this, but I think some of the bigger arguments is that what happens is that you end up having to grade schools and grade teachers, and people are going to have the choice to see that schools aren't performing well and be able to leave. and then thus you're gonna.
So what's wrong with that when every other job in America you have a yearly review and you get judged on your performance?
Well, that's going to be a teachers union question. I think probably one of the things that they would argue is if I'm a third grade teacher and I'm bringing in second graders who don't know how to do something, and then I'm going to be graded based on their performance as a third grader when the second grade teacher didn't teach them anything.
So
then
why
I'm
is
in
that
trouble.
second grade teacher still there then?
No, I don't argue that. I'm just saying.
Okay, because what I don't want people to hear and what I'm not saying is that she shouldn't properly resource those schools that are underprivileged.
I think that's what they're afraid of.
Okay, which listen, I'll be the first one to say we need to help them out. Okay, watch. This is how much I believe in what I'm saying. You should incentivize great teachers who are really good at what they do, very passionate about what they do. You should incentivize them with whatever package you can to go to schools that are underperforming and turn them around. I have no problem with that. None. Just like I have no problem with if a teacher constantly underperforms, get rid of them. Get rid of them. This may be not the career for you. At any other job, if you could not do the job that you were assigned, they would fire you. So I'm all about rewarding the people who are really doing it. Now, if you can't fire that person, then reassign them to something they can do. I'm not heartless, but if you're going to run it with taxpayer dollars, I had this thought the other day. Let me give you my thought. And I just want you to be as honest. And if you think I'm full of crap, this is the perfect place to say it is on the podcast. Just a question. If police officers and their structure, their governmental structure was like a church where you only operated off of the money people gave, for our case, like tithe dollars. If you only operated off the money people gave, do you feel like police officers would treat people in the public a lot better?
Yeah,
Yes.
No,
possibly.
why are you saying yes? Why?
Yeah, well, yes and no. They'll treat certain people better.
Okay.
Yeah, their level of niceness would increase.
Okay, because I'm saying
You treat people with money better.
You don't get to choose where they put you to go work. You don't get to choose where they put you to go work. So
What do you mean?
So in other words, if you're working for a department, you don't get to choose. Oh, I'm just going to go work on the Northwest side.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, you get to choose?
Mm-hmm.
You get to put in for it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you always get it?
No, I don't think you always get it, but I think you get to choose every 2 years.
Okay, but my point is, sooner or later, you're going to end up in a bad neighborhood.
Well, if you're in Fresno, it don't matter what
That's true.
what area
you know
you're
what
in.
I'm saying? Okay, if firefighters knew that their dollars were going to come from the people and who they service, do you think they would be really friendly to see people and really? I'm not saying they're not, but how do you think their customer service would be?
Yeah, I think everybody doesn't matter what field you're in.
Okay,
if your money's attached to you being
here's
nice,
what I'm saying.
you're gonna be nice.
Okay, here's where I'm going with that. Because your paychecks are already taxed before you ever see them, you forgot the rights you have as a tax-paying citizen. The reason there's schools in your neighborhood is because of your property taxes. You don't buy a house, there's no school money. Or they pass measures. Measures means we get to take more money from you. Are you tracking with me?
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, if people would understand, these are our constituents. We need to be nice to them. We need to make sure little Bobby succeeds. We need to make sure little Travion succeeds. We need to make sure little Becky succeeds. Did that make any sense? I forgot a Mexican. We forgot Miguel needs to succeed.
I was like, wait, you're hitting all of them. Let's color the world.
But
okay, but does that make sense?
But it sort of works in that way, and it doesn't always work out. So I mean, you have I think the biggest difference in nice neighborhoods compared to neighborhoods in the hood in terms of the teacher quality and things like that isn't the actual teachers, it's the parent involvement. And what you have is in nicer neighborhoods, parents have more free time, they're more involved. Compared to lower income places, parents aren't involved as much, and you see a difference in the school because of that, because they're not being held accountable. So you're going to always have, no matter what, because people are, they're not picking up their kids from school. Their kids are walking into school. That's why you see little kids walking from school. It's like, what's going on here? Well, the parents are at work compared to nicer neighborhoods. So either way, I think you're going to see that equality happens in that way.
Can I submit something to you then? then that's why I'm 100% a proponent of parent choice. Let's say, because I didn't say it before, we got Miguel. He's doing great as a student. Both of his parents work, but he would really do well in a better school where everybody's scoring where he's already at. He should have the choice to go to that school, no matter where it is. And with that money that parent gets, they can now afford some public transportation of some sort to get him to that school where he will thrive and go on to be a great, worker of some sort, whether it's in the tech, medical field, or something like that. That's why I'm a proponent of that, instead of him staying in a school where he'll always be the overachiever. Always be. In other words, we can't keep up with this kid because he's so smart. That's why I'm a proponent of that. But I still think that does not take away from that. We've always said there's bad apples in every bunch, whether it's pastoring or everything else, right? So we got to think that into teaching. We got to start to weed out these bad apples. In other words, you just can't get tenured and go coast off into the sunset. You still got to re-up. You still got to know that you can still teach and that you can still handle a workload. That's all I'm saying. And I think by getting into the Department of Government and Efficiency, by getting DOGE to look into the Department of Education, I think there's going to be some shakeup. And unfortunately, Token, I agree with you. There are good people who always get caught up in the wash. I 100% agree with you. I was talking to a friend of ours, and they were telling me about, hey, I love it. They said, yo, hey, I'm gonna shoot you straight. When Trump said everybody got to go back to work, I know why people was complaining. They complained because the same reason we all complain. We had it good at home. It was easy. Shoot, you wanted to leave, go get a haircut. You just went and got a haircut. Now you got to clock in. I love this next part they said, but if you're telling me that you don't think that efficiency and effectiveness isn't going to jump 20-25%, people are going to get more done, they're lying. Of course it's going to get more done because you're there for a full 8 hours. I looked at it, man, thank you for your honesty. That's real. They're like, well, I guess I go back to work then. Here I go. But that's honesty. Let's keep it real. And that's all I'm saying. I just really feel like, once again, I love teachers. I love what they do. I'm grateful. I'm appreciative. But I also know for those ones that are dragging everything down, it's going to help them to stay accountable. If you're already doing right, hopefully we incentivize you. That's the other thing I'm saying is these teachers who are crushing it, why aren't we paying them more? Why aren't we incentivizing them? We shouldn't be capping that, or else they're going to go on to greener pastures. I'm trying to play. I know you can't really play both sides of the coin, but I'm also trying to say people who are doing right, principals who are turning these things around, we need to hook them up. That's all I'm saying. But I do agree with your involvement on parents.
And I think one of the big things that I'm excited for is that they're actually just looking into the system.
Yeah.
What is broken? Because there's obviously something that's broken, multiple things that are broken. And if you talk to people in education, they'll tell you there are multiple things that are broken, and so it's whether it's too big of classrooms, whether it's you're not being, you don't have enough aides in there and you have children with special needs who aren't getting what they need in their services, and like all these different things. Like there is a mass amounts of brokenness that people have just been okay with continuing the perpetual cycle of insanity. And so I'm like, hey, if it means that we got to scrap this thing to make it better, scrap it.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the things, just moving on to the DOGE and the chaos that is created, boy, I mean, you can go, people are upset everywhere. One of the other things that they were talking about is, what would you trust Elon Musk to do an audit? Would you trust him to really get in there? They're calling them the hackers, the little group. I guess they all got little like code names for each other. Anyway, it's funny. Some of their screen names, I wouldn't say it on here, but it's pretty funny. But there's these young whiz kids with their algorithms and all this stuff. So my question to you guys is, are you okay with Elon Musk doing audits? Like, do you feel like he's got something to gain from this? Are you, I don't know. I didn't know how to answer that question. Do you guys have any thoughts?
It's very possible he has something to gain from it.
Okay.
So, I mean, there people's, I think, concerns are real.
Okay.
He's a private citizen that owns large companies.
Okay.
So he does. It's very possible he has something to gain as he deals with certain industries.
Does he have anything to gain more than what the politicians have already gained from us?
Yeah, but he's not voted in office.
No, but I mean that argument right there. They're going to use that for all of the.
No, but I'm saying no, but yeah, no one chose him, but he still is a private citizen, so I can understand. I'm not saying I don't trust him, but I understand the arguments for it. They totally are reasonable.
Okay, I guess what I'm kind of pushing back on is, but what about the politicians? You didn't vote for certain politicians yet; they're all up in your business.
No, yeah, I didn't vote for all of them. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But they're all up in your business.
No,
I'm trying.
no.
I'm trying to figure out how you delineate between.
Because that's our system.
Okay, but hold on. I'm trying. Exactly. That's the system. He can pick Elon Musk if he wants to.
Yeah, without a doubt. But they give him all this information
He
like
can
this
do
and
that.
everything.
That's what I'm telling.
But I guess they're saying like, this guy is almost ruling over our country and changing all these apartments, but yet he's still a private citizen. He can benefit from these certain things. We're like, man, do we want him to have this much power? This one individual.
And what I'm saying to you is that's our system. Just that's why I said about the politician. You didn't vote. You didn't vote for Representative Ocasio-Cortez. You didn't vote for her.
Yeah, well, no, it's not in my area.
Hold on, let me finish. You didn't vote for her, but yet she's all up in your business. She sits on all these subcommittees that directly affect you.
Yeah, but a U.S. citizen didn't vote for her.
Hold on, let me finish.
But I mean, the argument doesn't work. She was voted in her
It
district.
does work. It does work because all of them have appointed their own people who really do the work for her. She don't do the work. These are public citizens that have access to your information. All these committees. So what I'm saying is this is the system. You're allowed to pick who you want to pick. So by voting in Trump, you voted in Elon. And that argument, that's why that's a straw man argument. It doesn't work.
No. How did we vote him in?
Okay, let me ask you something. Who was running the presidency the last 4 years?
He was the president. Biden was the president.
No, who was running it?
I don't know. Who can answer that? He was the president.
Actually, I'm going to show you a clip of who can answer that.
He was the president.
But he wasn't running it.
Okay.
You have all these people that he appointed. Trump is allowed to appoint people.
Yeah, but that still doesn't say that he doesn't have something to gain from it, that people shouldn't be concerned about
I'm
it.
not arguing the gaining.
I know. So their arguments are valid then.
No. I'm not arguing the gaining. Everybody has somebody to gain.
I know.
That's what I'm telling you.
So when they say it about Elon, they're right.
So, no, I'm saying that, but people have been gaining office this whole time.
No, but you have this guy's the richest man in the world, and you're giving him access to, cut this and do this.
He already has access.
He's getting access to all this information.
He already has access.
I'm not saying, but the president giving him this access. Like there is a possibility that, hey, he can use this for his benefit.
And all I'm saying is people have been getting rich off us for the last 50 years.
Yeah, because something's wrong, and then he gets to do it as wrong too. Doesn't make it right.
I don't see what he's doing is wrong, though.
It's very possible it could be doing something wrong.
No, but I'm saying I don't see what he's doing is wrong when people have already been doing us wrong.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. We've been getting done wrong this entire time.
So keep doing it wrong. So keep getting rid of all the immigrants. Who cares?
He's got nothing to do with immigrants.
Nobody's saying anything that's
he
wrong.
He is an immigrant. What are we saying?
Keep doing what's wrong. No, he's a legal citizen.
Well, but I mean, he was an immigrant. He's from South Africa. But my point is, my thing is, I don't understand. I'm trying to understand, but I still don't understand why people are mad when this is the way it goes. Like, I don't understand what they're mad at. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't understand what you're mad at when this has been going on for the entire time. It's like they just picked Elon because he's this figure. I don't. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't understand what they're mad at. What I'm trying to say.
I think that you have a good portion of people who are probably upset that that's him. That it's the actual person.
So it's just Elon.
It's Elon, right? They're upset about that. And there may be people who are upset about him, the status that this person has gotten, given that he's not a voted in politician. But I also do agree with what you're saying in regards to the system is set up to where the person who's the figurehead is very rarely the one that's making the decisions. The person who's the figurehead got there because they're charismatic, because they knew how to fundraise, because they knew how to run a campaign, they knew how to choose the right people, and that's how they got elected. And once they get elected, they stay in office because they have very smart people who are actually running it, and that's the system. And so I hear what both you guys are saying.
And that's all I was saying. It's like, do I think he has access to information that can hurt us? My point is we've already been hurt by the access of information people have on us. We've already been done wrong. That's the whole thing.
So keep doing wrong.
Well, we don't know that he's done us wrong yet. So what he's exposed as, it's like this. Joe Biden went on a press conference and said, I don't know if I have the power to shut down the border. And in less than 3 weeks, Trump shut down the border. How did he do that? Did Joe Biden really not know? Or was he misleading people? Anybody have that answer?
What did he do to shut down the border?
I'm going with
the border shut down. He's got 3,000 troops down there. The wall is being built. It's shut down. We've had less than 400 people cross over, and before that it was 4,000 a day.
I'm going with Joe didn't know.
Okay, that's probably true. But you understand what I'm saying? So my point is, we don't know that he's done anything wrong yet.
Yeah, but we don't also know if he's this noble guy when he's messing with the Treasury. Like, you don't know.
Okay, but do you okay?
Yeah,
let me
I don't
ask you-
think he's a noble guy, but I don't.
I'm
I
saying,
don't.
you don't know.
I
How do
don't
you know it's this great
I don't
noble
think
guy?
that. I don't think that 98.7% of politicians are noble people.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was.
I
going
know.
with
And
this.
so again, so their argument's valid then.
Yeah.
You're saying that their argument's not valid because everyone's a criminal.
No.
Well, he's still a criminal.
I didn't say that.
That's what I'm saying.
I said that.
Yeah, if he's a criminal, then he's still a criminal.
I wrote the fence. I said both you guys are right.
That's the other thing. Like, just this will explain everything. I want you to watch this clip right here.
Who was running the presidency for the last 4 years? A lot of people say it was Obama's third term.
It was for sure Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. I don't think anyone, it definitely was. And that's why you saw Obama fighting for his dear life. Why was he fighting so hard in the fall? Because he was fighting for his fourth term. He was fighting for his own legacy. The relationship between Obama and Biden is most reminiscent of that between LBJ and JFK. JFK had little respect for Lyndon B. Johnson, but he picked him anyway because he wanted to win the South. He wanted to win Texas. But he had very little respect for LBJ's intellect. JFK was surrounded by his Harvard brain trust, and he had immense disdain for LBJ's Texas Hill Country vibe. And that was the same attitude that Obama had towards Biden. Obama thought that Biden would eventually f everything up. And that's eventually actually what happened. So, but also he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Bashir. Most party chieftains didn't have Kamala Harris as their number one choice. But in the party of DEI, you can't skip a black woman. The optics would have been terrible.
So who was running it? Who are the names?
Steve Ricchetti, his senior advisor, Anita Dunn, Mike Donnellan, Ron Klain, Jeff Zients, Bob Bauer, his personal lawyer, who's actually his personal lawyer, who actually leased a book basically grifting off his relationship with the Bidens. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying all this. Please give me credit but these are the people who ran our country for the last 4 years.
All those names that she had mentioned were all people who were not voted in. Those were all appointed people. That's why I was saying, as the president, you get to appoint, just like he appointed his kid, his son-in-law, all that stuff. That was my whole point in saying that. I'm not saying that Elon is noble. I'm not saying that he has nothing to gain. I wasn't saying any of that. What I'm saying is the same people who are crying foul now never cried foul then. That's all I was saying. I hear your point on do two wrongs make a right. Absolutely they don't. But what I'm saying is, where was that same energy when this was all happening? Now, people, just for those who don't know, y'all need to look up who this girl is. Okay, I mean, I don't know how she's still talking. That's all I got to say, because she's dropping names, and the reason she's dropping names is she was the person running VP Harris's campaign, and when they threw her under the bus, she said, "Forget it. I'm gonna just let everything out right there." So does she have an axe to grind? A large one. Is she grinding it very sharp, just for the record? So that's why I was saying all that. It's just I just get mad at
it's a difference someone running your office, running your meetings, doing this stuff, and someone going through every department.
They were going through those departments.
Everyone go through every department and saying, "Get rid of this whole department, this whole
watch.
agency,
Nope.
scrap this, scrap that."
Nope, they were doing even worse. They were feeding more money. It's like this political was being funded by your tax dollars. They had 7,000 news agencies. Why? Because people in those administration were finding devious ways to funnel your tax dollars so that everybody would get up. It was worse. Instead of saving you money, they were dipping their hand back into your pocket. So which one would you rather have? I'd rather have we trimming the fat than coming back in and getting a little bit more money from me. So that's what I'm saying. It's if we're going to cry, my whole thing is if we're going to cry foul, where was that energy when they was taking your money? You got to show me the money.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, this is the definition of politics. When you're in office, I'm mad at you. When I'm in office, you're mad at me, but we both doing some shady stuff.
Yeah, and that's why even Republicans, they get on my nerves right now too. They're like, "Oh, this is all Biden's fault. Biden's fault." Then Trump does something like, "Oh," then the whole thing is like, "Well, Biden did it too." It's like, get out of here. You guys are a bunch of hypocrites. You're the same thing. He was like, "Oh, your whole excuse is Biden did it too." oh, Biden did it too.
Which
But
part
you were
you-
just complaining about Biden doing this. But then when they do something, it's like, oh, that's
You talking about the security clearance?
a bunch of stuff. All
okay.
Daily Wire, those dudes always drive me crazy.
I don't listen.
That's always their
So I don't
excuse.
know.
And that's all Republicans. They always say, well, they did the same thing too. So it's like, okay, great. You're the same as they are then. Whoop-de-doo.
But see,
Get out of here.
No, I don't have a problem depending on what it is. I don't have a problem with that depending on what it is. It's like the security clearance. Okay, so every president, I guess, continues their security clearance. I mean, Joe, how old is Joe? Does he really need a security clearance? And by the way, who's reading that security clearance? I've got no problem if you're a past president and you never get security clearances after that. Once you're done, you're done. What's wrong with that? So I'm just saying, it depends what the argument is. I'm not knocking down what you're saying because I actually agree with what you're saying and a large portion of it. But I'm saying there's certain things, they shouldn't have been rules anyway. They should have already been done away with. That's just my opinion. Okay, moving on. I want to show you a clip. You know, it's Valentine's week. Y'all got plans? Y'all got plans? We're going to the marriage conference, huh? That's our plan. See, you know, I should get a thank you from all the guys for planning a marriage conference because now they ain't got, I mean, it's already planned for them. Like that's gotta be worth some points. That's not planned. That's that not points?
No.
Or are you just staying quiet? Even a fool is cowed and wise when he keeps his tongue.
There it is.
Okay, we're just gonna stay quiet because okay, we're moving around. Like I just want to show you this clip though. On a more positive, happier note, I think Deshaun's gonna throw something at me. On a more positive, happy note.
I ain't gonna throw anything.
Yeah, I see it in your eyes. You're getting all mad.
It's red
getting
and
all
blue.
flustered.
Everyone's always red and blue.
Hey, it's colors.
Yep.
Didn't you listen to Ice Cube? Colors.
Yep.
I'm a nightmare walking.
I just like what's right. People like colors.
Hey, you surprised I knew that, huh? Bro, it's still in the brain. I don't know why, but it's still there. But I'm going to show you guys this clip. I want you to watch this clip right here.
Happy Valentine's Day to you. Will you be my Valentine?
What you think? What you think?
You ain't got no choice.
I've been your Valentine for 64 years. Oh, you got me a card? I love you, Popper.
I love you, Granny. I bet you love you.
You're the best Valentine I ever had.
You make my world go round.
Okay, what y'all think of that? I got you guys points on that one. That's shout out. Women are going to watch that. They're going to eat that up. They're going to love that. See that? I'll be your Valentine Popper for 64 years. What you think?
How did we get any points for that? I thought that was
good,
that was
huh?
beautiful, man. Man, that's awesome.
That was cool.
I want to be I want to be a popper. There you go.
You ain't got no choice though. That was the best part. It's like that's my dude right there. What'd you think of that? I like that. Did you like it?
Yeah, it's cool.
I love it. Okay,
He cried a
so
little.
that's
He
good.
cried a little
Look
bit.
at that caption. This says, how many times did they have to forgive each other?
Yeah.
Okay, so I picked it because I thought, how true is that? In 64 years, how much did these people have to walk in forgiveness? So I want you, if you can, both of you, and this we're going to do our close, encourage somebody out there right now to walk in forgiveness. What would you say? How would you encourage them to walk in forgiveness? Not just in their marriage, but also in relationships in totality. You get to pick the one. Go ahead. Take it away.
You know, I'm reminded of just what I've been forgiven from. And I think that just constantly like checking yourself and remembering, like, you know, I too mess up. I too say the wrong things. Okay. I too have, you know, broken promises. I too have done all these different things. And God has forgiven me. And if God can forgive me, I'm supposed to forgive others. Now, what that looks like and how we walk that out is going to be different for everybody. But having a heart that says, God, I want to forgive. Help me to get there. And so I don't want to be a quitter in any relationship. And so, God, you forgave me. I want to forgive, but show me how to forgive.
What you got for him, Bishop?
Yes, remember how God forgave you, and always remember, you know, if you're in the other person's shoes, how would you want to be treated? You know, how would you want to be forgiven and loved and cared for? There's consequences to certain things, but just be willing to actually walk through something with someone instead of just throwing stuff away right away. Get rid of that relationship. Let's work it out. Let's walk in forgiveness.
I just want to encourage everybody on my close right here about forgiveness is you will never realize how truly free you can be until you forgive those people. And there's such a freedom when you just let it go. There's such a freedom that you're going to feel within the depths of your own soul. And so I just want to encourage you today, just take that first step. Maybe the first step is asking the Holy Spirit to help you to forgive, and to just go ahead and start writing those things down, and just asking the Holy Spirit one by one, hey, can you help me forgive them for this and for that? And just watch as God empowers you to do it. But this is going to be a choice you have to make. Just as you have to choose joy, you're going to have to choose forgiveness. And just watch as the Holy Spirit partners with you and how you start to walk in this newfound freedom. You're going to be so excited, so happy that you did. There's going to be such a love in your heart. You're going to want to continue to walk in the power of the Spirit when it comes to forgiveness. This has been the Not Offended Podcast. Peace. We're out.
What's going on, fam? This is Anthony from the Not Offended Podcast, the conservative Chicano right here. If y'all could do me a favor, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you could leave a comment, hit the like button, but most of all, if you could hit subscribe, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.